Hey, Charlie Brown, it's the greater pumpkin out on those heavy seas. Hey, it's Brainmuffin back with another beer review, and to kind of finish out the pumpkin season, we have from Heavy Seas the Greater Pumpkin, and this is a version that's imperial ale brewed with pumpkin and spices and aged in bourbon barrels. So this ought to get some nice bourbon flavor, some good vanilla and other things. This is 10%. I am having a hard time finding this particular one on Untappd because it says like 9.5 or 9.6 or something like that. But it says on the bottle this is 10%, so we'll go with that and do with it. So this is a 2017. This is a seasonal every year, and so we'll put that into the title as well. All right, some nice notes right off the nose. Right off the bat, this has been sitting out a little bit. Should be nice, and don't have my big glass anymore that I used to do these bombers in. Somebody broke it washing the dishes, so we'll see. But it's got kind of a good carbonation. Feels artificial, but a good hold. So we got bourbon and pumpkin right on the nose. Smells smooth. Hints of vanilla. Quite a bit of an alcohol burn right about mid-mouth and back. And it's still feeling around. Well, this thing needs to warm up a little bit more. Good bourbon notes. There's a bourbon burn as it goes down the throat. Hints of vanilla. You've got kind of a few hints of oak there. Quite a bit of pumpkin. You know, it's a cloudy ale, nice orange color. It had a nice little white head on it. Not very fizzy at the moment. Man, that smells good. Now the regular one I apparently have had last year's version, as people pester me. I had last year's regular version and I gave it a 3 1/4, but this is much better. Now it's not as good as the Kentucky Bourbon pumpkin ale. That is much smoother. This feels like a, so I don't know my bourbon, so I don't know if this is a cheaper bourbon, but I know some bourbons and whiskeys have this real grating taste, kind of like this bite, which I don't care for. It's why I like Irish whiskey more than other ones. But this one has that bite, like it's a different type of bourbon. Whereas whatever Alltech uses for theirs tastes smoother, even in their Kentucky ale, Kentucky Bourbon ale. So this has a real sharp bite. Now I suspect as this warms up and it opens up, the pumpkin's going to come up and that bite might be a little bit less, but it's still going to be there. And so for me, I don't like that. So I'm going to take some points off for that bite. So this is about a 4 so far. And this is definitely, as I spill it, party foul right there, right on air. Way to go there, Brainmuffin. Thought you were an expert. But overall, this is a good beer. What I really wish, I didn't realize this was the barrel aged. I should have seen if they had any left over. That's the other thing, is this is probably a little on the old side since this stuff comes out so early anymore. I don't see any kind of date on here. But I fully expect this to open up as it warms. Having a snifter is probably an okay idea, so that way it brings all that to your nose. Yeah, it's getting more pumpkin and more vanilla as it sits here. So I think it's a good beer. It's not a great beer. It's definitely not my favorite pumpkin ale, but mainly because of that bourbon bite. It could also use a little bit more pumpkin flavor, even colder when it's cold. I mean, it's been sitting out for a good 10 minutes, but sometimes it takes beers longer than that to warm up. So this is a good sipping beer. Sit around, campfire, you know, maybe in a fire pit, chatting with friends at night. This is not a beer you'd want to have with food, like a meal. Now you could have it with kind of snack foods. You could probably do this with, if you like that bourbon bite, you could probably do like s'mores and stuff like that, and kind of juxtaposition the chocolate and the marshmallow and the graham cracker with the pumpkin flavor and the vanilla and the bourbon in this thing. So that would be an interesting mix to see if that bite would get stronger as your mouth got used to something sweet, and it had, because this is not exactly sweet, it's not really bitter, just that bite on the back end from the bourbon. So what I also don't know is what the You know, it's 10% on the bottle, but I don't know what the original ale was. So I don't know if there's any significant amount of alcohol from the bourbon. So it depends. Sometimes there is with some of these bourbon beers, and sometimes it's just, you know, it's minor. It's maybe 1%, maybe 2 at most, but it's really the flavor out of the barrel, kind of getting the bourbon flavor out. Because sometimes they, you know, they'll steam wash these and things, so you don't really have much in the bourbon department. So, but it is getting to get the spices. You've got the pumpkin pie spice, and you've got the pumpkin there. So it's good. For some reason, my nose is going crazy. I don't know why my allergies are kicking up. But yeah, more bourbon, more vanilla. So, and my hand's getting sticky from where I spilled it, trying to pour it. So it is getting better, but man, that bourbon bite, man, I don't like whiskeys that bite. Some people do. So you might like that. Write in the comments below. But I'm giving this one about a 4 1/4. It's pretty good. Not great, but it's better than others that I've had. And well, so far I like the Kentucky Ales bourbon pumpkin better than any pumpkin beer at all. It's my favorite pumpkin beer. That's why we did 100 with it as well. So there we go. All right, thanks for clicking like. Thanks for sharing. And we do have some more beers. I got a lot of beer to get through. I've been buying like crazy and not doing reviews. We've got stuff coming up. So your favorite beer just might show up very soon on Lake TV. Thank you very much. Bye. All right, framing test. I know I'm in frame. Got to speak up, man, and project. The Greater Pumpkin. Let's see what we've got. Everything in frame. Doesn't look good. Don't have my phone. Cream spices. Aged in bourbon barrels. Beautiful. 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 Team. Wasting time, wasting space on the card. Oh my goodness, bourbon and pumpkin right off the bat. Excuse me, everybody. I may have to edit this. Hush, Toby.